What has been the biggest thing that's opened up for you during this conversation as we get to the last few questions?
I don't know. I think at times I find myself in like, again, going back to like my mom and like my dad, like they always kind of told me I'm a bit of an old soul, but like I take it as a compliment, but I also am like, nah, like I can have fun, like this, that. But I think I just grew up with older people, and I grew up with like older friends, and like to this day, all my like closest friends in LA are older, and I don't know. I find like wisdom, and I find like more experience very appealing, and like not even just as like I'm not saying like I'm into older women, like it's like
Sure.
as like friends and like companions. It's nice to know that someone has, like, I like to learn from people, and I like to be a sponge in conversations, and I like to like really just, soak everything in. And I think that's been lovely talking to you today about and just like hearing these things, because obviously, I share a lot with my therapist, but at the same time, like it's nice to hear it from
man,
a guy perspective where, I don't know, it's just been nice.
That's good, man. Yeah, it's been a fun conversation. I've got a few final questions for you, but I know you've been working on a few things. How can we support you in your professional career right now? What's the thing you're most excited about that you are launching?
Yeah, so I mean, the main thing right now, I would say, is the recent launch of my apparel brand.
Yeah.
As of right now, it's genderless undergarments, and gender neutral, it's called EFES or EFES. Or all of my friends are like, so when am I getting some IFES? And I'm like, yeah, that works too. It's like I'm not gonna sit here and be like, it's EFES. It's like tomato tomato. So however you want to pronounce it. But yeah, it's as of right now, we just have underwear and undergarments. But like I said, genderless, and so made for everyone. And it's really, I'm really excited about it, and I'm really passionate about this new project, because I didn't want this brand to be merchy, if you will. I want to build a brand, and I want to curate something and foster a community that is for everyone. And I want, it's really cool. Like, it's one of my favorite parts about social media, and it's one of my favorite parts about being an influencer, content creator, whatever. Creating an aesthetic, and I really have fun with like photography and all this. And so for our first campaign shoot, we kind of went back in time and did like a Greek mythology type thing, and it was really cool, and I had a blast doing it. But yeah, the story of EFES kind of originates back in Greek mythology.
Okay.
Yeah, and I can bore you with the whole story of the details, but it's basically a lovely, beautiful story about at the end of the day, like love conquering all. It's about like gender fluidity. This king that wanted a son, but then had a daughter, and then raised her as a son, and then she fell in love with a girl. And so it's just like love conquering all at the end of the day. And like, I think it goes perfectly. I know we kind of rabbit hole down like relationship stuff, and I can talk forever, but that's just it goes back to, I just love, but it's also like my biggest kryptonite, I think, is like, it definitely hurts me the most. But yeah, with EFES, I'm just very excited. And, right now at this given moment, soon releasing more, but right now we have two designs of the underwear, two waistbands, if you will. One is called the Heritage, and one is called the Classic. And yeah, I love them. Like, they're great. And I really, and I mean, I think the like initial idea of creating an underwear brand, like I'm sure you might be wondering, like, why underwear? Like, why even doing this? Like, when I first started social media, like what gained me a lot of my following, what I think got a lot of views, shirtless. And me and the boys were kind of we were free billboards for Calvin Klein with our waistbands like always showing, like that kind of thing. Yeah, and I was like, had this idea, and I was like, what if we owned, like, what if we wore something that we owned and just constantly had it in our content organically, where it's not like we're not getting paid to post it, we're not doing this, but at the end of the day, it's just pushing something that we're passionate about and that is ours. And so I kind of kept this idea to myself, and because I was like, I don't even know where to start. Like, this is just an idea I had. And then after some time, the conversation came back up, and after we all kind of split ways and like moved into different houses, I had a talk with my manager. I was like, I really want to do this. Like, I think this is really cool and kind of exciting. And it was at the time when I kind of started to get more into fashion as well. And I was like, this just feels perfect. Like, I feel like we should do this. And then I was like, where do we start? And fortunately, I had people around me that, you know, I asked a lot of questions. I had, you know, a lot of friends that, you know, like yourself, that I would go to and be like, that are older, and be like, hey, put your arm around me. Like, how do we do this? Like, mentor me a bit, like, on how to start a business, on how to do this. Like, I want to learn. And so in creating this brand, like, I made sure I was very hands-on, because I was like, this is my baby. Like, this is like my thing that I want to really blow up. And like in a couple of years, I like, everything goes well, like the dream happens. Like, I want people to buy the product for what it is and not even know that I have anything to do with it. Like, so yeah, it's something that is really exciting to me. And
it's exciting, man.
Yeah.
I can see it.
Yeah.
I can see it on you.
And eventually open up to, I mean, there's really no, like, there's no cap. Like, I don't know where it's going to go as a brand, but very exciting things. I think it's one of those things where we'll kind of just
see where it goes.
It goes. And
can we buy right now? Is it out? Is it launching?
You can buy right now. Yeah. So came out June 6th was the launch of the official, like, site and everything. So yeah, right now we just have the icon, or the classic, and the heritage. And
okay. What's the website?
It's called iphies.us.
IPHIS, right?
Yes.
Okay. .us.
.us.
Or if we go to your Instagram or TikTok,
it's anywhere. You'll
your,
find it. Yeah, it's in my bio. Yeah.
Iphies.us. I love that. You're also all over social media. Noah Beck everywhere. So make sure you guys check out Noah's content, follow him, subscribe. Even though you're not an OG commenter, you can still join the party of the 50 million plus and hang out. These are a couple questions I ask everyone at the end, but I usually don't have many people your age on here. I've had a few people in their, you know, young 20s, but
okay.
I'm going to ask you this question and have you dream and imagine for a moment. So this question is called the 3 truths. It's a hypothetical question. Imagine you get to live as long as you want to live. 80, 90, 100, 120, whatever it is. You get to live as long as you want to live, but it's your last day. And you have accomplished, created, and experienced life to the fullest in every area. Financially, career, personally, professionally, love, all these things, family, all of it. You've all created fulfilled. This life.
Love it.
Right?
Okay.
But for whatever reason, in this scenario, you've got to take all of your content, your work, your business, your products to the next place. They're not here in this physical world anymore. So no one has access to this conversation, to anything you've ever posted online. It's all gone.
Okay.
Hypothetical. And for whatever reason, you get to leave 3 truths behind, 3 lessons that you would share with the world. And that's all we have to remember you by, are these 3 truths. What would be those 3 truths that you would leave behind?
Trying not to steal, like, quotes that I've seen. I'm trying not to steal.
Whatever comes to your heart, yeah. Whatever you feel. If there's a quote that really stands out to you as a good truth, feel free to share it.
I think something that I try to spread, and I think that can resonate with all my content, and kind of going back to, like, you know, despite, you know, being able to get sad and, you know, being human, I try to be very positive. And I think that kind of goes back to, you know, life's too short. You might as well do what makes you happy. So I think doing what makes you happy could be one.
Okay.
You know, it's funny. I had lunch with a friend not too long ago, and we had known each other, and like, but we never had like a proper like sit down. And I was like fortunate enough that we got the chance to kind of like our schedules, our busy schedules kind of aligned up. Yeah. And so it was nice, like having like a really nice conversation with him. And one of the things that he told me was that I'm definitely going to have the truth, because I think it just like really, I don't know, it just like really like touched me in a way that I was like, if you're ever doubting something, if you're ever doing this, and he told me, he was like, don't ever keep your talents hidden. Because if you do, you're owing the world like a disservice. And so like by not sharing your talents, you're, you know, stealing the world from potential joy that people can get from you. So I thought that was really interesting. Beautiful. And I think that can resonate with like what I do as a social media content creator is like everything that I put out, it's really amazing. And I think my favorite comments are like, it's not my favorite, but it's the comments that like really like touch me and like really hit me and like really, I don't know, I guess give me that reassurance that I'm doing something right, is when people say like, you genuinely saved my life, or like that stuff like is really like, knowing that there's someone out there that you've saved with your videos is just insane to me. And so that's why I think like that one kind of
That's good.
hits home, because there could be someone out there that needs to hear what you have to say.
Yeah.
So say that.
Second one, and the third truth.
And the third truth, I would say, I don't know. This is kind of like more advice to myself that I think could be
Like that.
And it kind of go back to it, but instead of just your heart, I would say protect your peace.
Ooh.
And I think like, again, a bit cliche, but it's one of those things where it's simple, but it's so true. Like I think once I kind of started to apply that to my life, I think things got a lot better.
Yeah, man.
For, I don't know, just finding something that like makes you at peace, and finding something, and then finding ways to like constantly apply it so it doesn't. Yeah.
That's beautiful, man. The simplest stuff is usually the most important. So
yeah.
I love these three truths. Before I ask the final question, I want to acknowledge you for your openness. I appreciate your openness. I appreciate your generous heart, your candor, and everything that you shared today, and the fact that you're, again, I think I told you before, I haven't seen you really do a long form conversation like this. So I appreciate you being willing to put yourself out there and open up about these things, because I think it's going to inspire and help a lot of people with you doing this. And I hope you do more of this in the future.
Yeah.
So I acknowledge you for everything you've had to go through the last 3 years. Although someone watching or listening might say, well, this kid doesn't have to go through that much because it's been success, money, fame.
Of course.
But it's the quote that I'm going to butcher, but paraphrase from Jim Carrey. He said, I wish everyone would become rich and famous and realize it's not everything.
Yeah.
I wish everyone would experience it and realize it's not the key to happiness.
And this said it better, yeah.
And so I acknowledge you for having to experience life at 19 into 22 with all this happening all at once. I'm sure a lot of amazing, exciting things, but also some weird, confusing, challenging things too. Final question for you, Noah. What is your definition of greatness?
I would say greatness to me is applying yourself every day to be the best version of yourself, and just doing all the right things while also, living a little and having some fun.
Sure.
And I think that's where I'm constantly split is, maybe I do need to let loose a little, but at the same time, like, I think that would be my definition of greatness. I can't sit here and say it hasn't affected me. There have been times where, the likes are down, the engagement's low, and as much as I don't want to ever look at that, it's your job, and it comes to a point where you kind of have to look at that and see what people are saying and seeing like what they want to see. And you can either choose to do two things. You can